was sharing with us briefly on what I've captioned money management skills. And this is meant to help you and I put a lot of things in context. Well, my experience, many people, this is one money skills. It's one area many people are struggling. And when you see people, either in family, one in their career, you see a lot of people struggling. Some people live from paycheck to paycheck, and you're wondering what exactly is the challenge. And the good news is that, for everything God has created, He has a law. There are laws that you and I need to follow. Anyone that follows the law, whether in the kingdom or out of the kingdom, the law, delivers the same result. And that's why you see people who are in the kingdom, some of them are rich, some who are out of the kingdom are rich, and you're wondering what's going on. But the difference at the end of the day, just so you all know, is that if you are rich the kingdom way, it is durable, it is peaceable, your end will be well. And if you find it the other way, after the kingdom, they never end well. And that's why it's important for you and I to learn this way. And then, so that not only for ourselves, we build generational wealth. Psalm 112 talked about, say the man that, that delights in God's commandments and fears the Lord. He said, wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his generation shall be blessed after him. And that's what you and I are aligned to. But let me lay some foundation first and foremost. Number two things you need to note. Number one is that when it comes to wealth in the kingdom, there are two ways. There's a covenant way, and there's wealth is money making in the kingdom. It's one is covenant, and then the other is a skill. So for those of you who are writing, money management principles are two. One is a covenant. If you look at Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 18, it says, "Thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth the power to get wealth." There's an empowerment to get wealth on the basis of the covenant. And I think there are a number of videos on covenant teachings that I've done. I will share the link with us. But more importantly, it's a covenant. That means there's a part to play on. And what is a covenant? If you go to Genesis 8 verse 22, it said, "Seed time and harvest shall not cease." That means everyone defines how far they will go. Your seed will determine how far you will go. And that scripture says, if you sow sparingly, you get sparing results. If you sow bountifully, you get bountiful results. So that means how far you will go. God doesn't, limit how far we'll go. We are the one that will limit as far as you understand the principle of seed time and harvest. That means if you have something in your hand, what I always ask is it a seed or is it a fruit? Fruit you want to eat. Seed, that means you plant it again. So the more you plant it, the more returns you get. And that's one of the things. That's why I said it is twofold. It's covenant and then the skill. But the emphasis today will be on the skill side, because many of us are kingdom men and women, and we understand the place of covenant, practices. Just for emphasis, for some of you who may be new, this may be new too. Covenant practices include one of the things that I always say, integrity in your career and businesses. Wealth gotten by vanity will diminish. If you don't get it on by right, you will leave it in the midst of his days. So these are covenant ways, integrity, givings in general. You can't be rich or prosperous or wealthy without being a giver. It is, that's a law. Job, the greatest man that ever lived, was a giver. If you read Job 29, all the way down, you'll see that it was charity that was the bedrock. And that's why you see us at the AMB, we are giving to charity. Some people are asking, why are we not paying for all these things? No, we are doing it to be a blessing. God said, told Abraham, I will bless you and become a blessing. So these are covenant ways, So on the skill side, anything you call skill, that means you can learn it. And that's why you see in the parable of the talent, which is, one of the parables that Jesus used to emphasize the money management skills. If you read that scripture, Matthew 25, all the way down, I think in 27, he told the one that refused to multiply, the one that he gave 5 to 1, multiplied, became 10. He gave 2 to 1, multiplied, became 4. And then the one that they had 1, he buried it, and did nothing about it. That's why nobody lacked anything. Everybody, if you can earn something, you can become rich. If you can earn money, if you are working, you get salary, if you are working, no matter how little, all you then need is skill to follow, which we'll talk about for the few minutes that we have. So, if you look at that parable, Jesus said, you should have known to put this money to work for me. There's how money can work for you. You earn the money first, and then make that money work for you. There are principles that you and I need to engage to be able to make sure that happens. And we'll talk about that in a bit. It's going to be a part in series, so this one will continue perhaps in the next monthly meeting on this call. But I've just said, let's set the stage first. So one is covenant way, and one is a skill way. Well, focus on the skill today, because Jesus was in that parable was saying you should have the skill. Go learn how to the bankers, exchangers. Go learn. There are things they do with money that you need to learn, and then you get the same result. So the first fundamental thing is, do you understand that money is meant to increase? There's a way, there's skill that you apply to the money in your hand today that will make it. Some people think it's too small. No, there's nothing too small. Once you understand how to apply yourself, and there are about 4 or 5 different ways you can make your money work for you, or you can learn this skill of money management. Number one is by, again, what we're doing here today, a session like this that open you up on what exactly can I do. My principle is, if you can earn money, you can make money, you can multiply money. That's principle number one. Principle number two is that a lot of people think wealth is not for them. They're not, because they've looked at themselves and they already count themselves out. For example, their mindset already, they've forgotten about it. They say, no, this is not possible. And that is what I call a limiting belief. If you believe you will be rich, you'll be rich. If you believe you're poor, exactly, you'll be poor. So there's a mindset to it. So one of the things that I'm praying today is that your mindset shift to a point that, look, God, among other things, Jesus, when he redeemed in I think Revelation 5 verse 12, he said, worthy is the lamb that was redeemed for you and I, among other things, 7 things. One of those 7 things, power, wisdom, strength, riches was one of them. That means you are qualified. And once that mentality changes, that you can be counted, that your story today can change if you understand what to do. And what to do is what I call a skill. That's why it's learnable. So the principle, number one, is first and foremost recognize that if you are earning something, then you are a candidate. Number 2 is that the limiting beliefs, the belief that you have in your heart has to change. Something has to shift for you to know that it's possible. And once you get those 2 right, then it means something. If you're not earning, then we can talk about that and say, hey, what can you do? What can you learn so that you can start earning something? Once you start earning something, then we can go to what are the things that we need to do? What are you earning, no matter how small, can be, you can work it out in such a way that you have to recognize that you start small, but you don't remain small. So how do I learn the skill? Number 1 is through books, for example. Many of us at the AMP who have been at the AMP before, there's a book I always recommend. They call it The Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon. It's a very small book. You can read that book under 1 hour. I've read it many times. Why? I'm hungry for change. I've seen many people that are poor, and I say never. It's not dignifying. And if you can earn something, that book teaches you about 7 principles on what you need to do. I won't go into that here because I want you guys to go and look for those. We can send soft copy on our platform for all of you to read, but I want you to personally make a commitment to go get that book. There are a lot of books. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich, for example. That means if you can think it, inside your thought process is power to create wealth. And that's one of the fundamental principles I want you to live here with today. Somebody said, if you think you are rich, you'll be rich. If you think you are poor, then you'll be poor. It's a mental mindset. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. So, books are one fundamental way. Number 2 way is through mentorship. One of the things that limits a lot of people is because money is too private to many people. Everybody just wants to keep their money story to themselves because they think somebody else is going after them. That's why you need to have good mentors who are not looking for what you are earning. They just want to guide you. So you have the same way you have mentors, coaches in different sporting areas who guide them into success. Somebody will tell you, see what I'm doing. This is how I run my money. If money comes in my hand, after paying my tithe, this is what I need to do. Someone say, really? I don't pay my tithe. Man, find a way to make sure you start paying your tithe, for example. Because what it does is not so much of whether, it's a way you keep God involved in your affair. Your money matters. So the devourer can stay off. It's not paying your tithe doesn't mean that you become rich. No, it keeps the devourers off your mark. My own personal testimony about tithing, for example, is that I may earn the same amount of money with 10 people, but the result of the money and the blessings of God, they'll be wondering, are you sure you're earning the same amount of money? It will be different. I remember many years ago when, a lot of them were pursuing, some of them when we started their career, they were pursuing how to build houses, I was pouring into how to make AMP go forward. all the money, resources that we had, we were trying to get things going, to be a blessing to other people. When it was time for us to get our own house, for example, when they came for the housewarming, they were looking at, would have been saving all these years. The kind of house you have now, you can't even go near it. What's the difference? Covenant. It looked like, I was, they were ahead, but by the time we came, we overtook them, So what am I saying here is that that's how this thing works. You have to get the priorities right. Your mindset must be very clear. That's why the Bible says if you seek God's kingdom first among other things, everything that are running around in town gets added to you. That's where the covenant side of these things. But the skill side says you must learn. It's a skill. Mentorship. They will guide you. Then, of course, through seminars like this, sessions like this, where we open up ourselves, we share insight on how this thing works, and then you go put it to work and you get the same level of results. And then, of course, research, personal research. Which, of course, I said earlier, reading books can be something that you want to do, but research means you are now saying, look, this is where I am today. What can I do differently? There are different opportunities out there. There are a lot of investment opportunities out there. How can I make my money work for me? I'm doing a personal research. I always tell people when you come to my library, you can tell the kind of person I am. You tell the kind of books I'm reading, the books are in my library, on leadership, on economy, on finance, on relationships. These are why? Because I believe these are the things I need to be able to work on myself, because it won't happen on its own. Every house, remember, is built by some man. So what am I saying here today is that learning, making money work for you is a skill that you can learn. And we're going to dedicate a session proper on specific investment opportunities with as little as whatever you have in your hand. But first, you must earn money and then learn how money works for people. Until when you get your money to start working for you, you're not ready to build the wealth. And I can guarantee you somebody say, oh, but sir, what happens? Any money in your hand today, that is a seed or a fruit. Fruit means the one you can eat. Then seed means the one you can plant. Once you approach your money, any money that comes to you from after today, with that approach, you will see that you're going to be smiling in the next 1 year and 2 years. And it's not overnight thing. It's a journey, it's a lifestyle you have to build to make it happen. And one of the things I'm, just, telling us tonight, just so you all know, it's to recognize that this is a skill you can learn. The same way you learn how to sew clothes, the same way you learn how to, whatever it is, skill that you are learning, it's the same way you can learn how to make your money work for you. And this is a principle I've learned every opportunity that I have. I've also recognized that any money that comes to my hand, exactly for my consumption completely, no matter how little, from the days of $40,000 a month as a salary to the days of, several thousands or, I've learned that by experience that you must learn what to put away and what to make sure that you have as a kid. There are times of plenty, like Joseph. Many of us read the story of Joseph and you're wondering, oh my God, that man is so smart. It's the same principles apply to us today. He knew that the time you have to save. Because what saving does for every one of us, someone said, Pastor, what I'm earning is not enough. How can I even save? It's a lie. You can't, it is what you have that you spend. Somebody said, oh, sir, but, after I have a lot of people that I have to help. Look, as long as you don't make it, you continue to be, down with them. You have to find a way to break through before other people can lean on you. If you keep at the same level with everybody, when will be that time that you also have to be able to look back? So that's a moment where you have to shut distraction off and say, look, I'm committed to building something great. Then when you are converted, then you can strengthen your own brethren. And that's why, it's always very amazing when people call and say, oh, but Jesus told us there will be people who are poor by choice, not because God wanted to be poor. It's by choice. And what is the choice? The choice of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Some people rather call to beg than to learn how to make this thing happen. And that's one of the things I want us to be, none of you here to fall into that trap. There's no dignity in anything they give you. That's a dash. You don't go far. What you earn is what lay the foundation for amazing wealth tomorrow by the skills of investment. Jesus said, you should have known to ask how to multiply the money. Ask from your friends, ask from your mentors, ask from the bankers. They will tell you there are investment portfolios. Some of you have accounts and you don't even know what's going on there. You can go to your bank, for example, one day and say, hey, give me where's the investment department, for example? I want to talk to someone. You go in there, give me books on investment. They will teach you, they will give you books. They have all this information on treasury bills, on this. And how much do I need to save? How much do I need to get this? Now, these are questions you ask that they give. The information are there. That's what they do. And they are willing to teach you because they know that if they teach you, then you apply it, then they also have a benefit from it. But they have to teach you and show you first before you can engage those things. These are things that are books on some of the fundamentals that I'm telling you today. I'll tell us today. These are things we have to learn ourselves. And then by the time you begin to build that wealth, you now connect with the covenant way, and then you be on your way up. And my prayer for everyone listening today is that what you are hearing may sound like you've heard it before, but the difference here today is that you are making a commitment today to make a difference. There's nothing small that can be great. And there's nothing big. No matter how big any of you here on the call today, you're just beginning. There's a great, horizon ahead of every one of us today. We're all on a journey. And you have to learn this thing to make it work. You learn it, and then you apply it. And then you belong to a community like this where we encourage ourselves to not only know that this wealth is not for ourselves in person, but to be able to be a blessing to others. And guess what happens? Many of the people that are in the so-called billionaires world that you hear about the place, why are they giving to charity? After they learn to make the money, what happens? They now connect it to the law that guarantees generational prosperity, which is called charity. And that's the level we're all getting to. But I want us to learn how to even make it first, how to multiply it first. Then we'll come back and talk about how do we now leave the legacy. Some of us are already, what you're thinking about the AMP, it's not that we, any AMP, we're all applying the principle of giving back so that we can maintain the generational wealth, not only on our own level, but next generation. But first, let's even talk about how do we even make this money? How do you multiply it? What are the principles? And my call for every one of you on the call tonight is recognize that you're a candidate already. Number one. Number two, your limiting beliefs. Whatever you are believing that you think it's limiting you before, tonight is gone. Now, a new mindset. Be able to do a new thing God said. And then you'll see the greatness will spring forth. Why? Mind something has changed inside of you that makes you now a candidate. You set a goal and say, look, this year I want to be my year of, a most flourishing year. What does that mean? That means I must learn my way into abundance. It's a learnable. It's a skill I can acquire. And grace is available. The books are available. We have a session like this that's available to guide us and to continue to encourage us. And if you're in doubt, ask questions. My prayer, for every one of you, it's a skill that requires researching, that requires reading, that requires, visiting where you need to visit, and then after you earn those things, putting those money to where it belongs. Open the investment account, open the savings account, where you just accumulate. And one of the beauty, before I even wrap up today, of saving, for many of you know what we call wealth transfer. Wealth transfer is when opportunity comes that matches the seed in your hand. And I'll close with that testimony. When we're about to buy a house, for example, for some of you are wondering, what about savings? Savings have zero interest. Listen to this testimony and then you'll be blessed. When there's a time for us to buy a house, for example, God has spoken to me many times. Said, boy, people like you won't pray to buy a house or to get a house. When it's time, I'll put fire in the house of an unbeliever who has acquired it by illegal means. Okay? And the fire will so burn that the first place it will knock will be your door. And whatever you have in your hands will be exactly what will be required for the wealth transfer into your hands. I'm like, okay, cool. Exactly what God said. When it was time, he built a very powerful house, was good, was great, ready to sell it, was in a hurry. A lot of people were bidding for the same house. Then we got contacted. Long story short, went to us exactly what happened. He said, how much do you have in your hand? It was exactly what we have in your hand. Even when it wasn't quite enough, we said, just bring that one first. I'm going to transfer the key. He gave us the key to the house well ahead of time. Why? Exactly what God said. I'll put a fire in the house because you're a servant, and put the fire in the house of an unbeliever who has acquired it by illegal means. And many of you are serving in any capacity. You don't have to work and pay the same way that people are paying for things to validate your service. That's why when you're serving, serve with your heart. Because if other people are paying 1 million for something, you may pay 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira, and you're wondering what happened. It's because there's a grace that makes that happen. Because when God sees your heart that you're serving in truth and in deed, one of the things that follows is favor. And favor, if you pay like others for anything, you're not favored yet. Favor means there'll be a gap. God said I will make a distinction. Malachi chapter 3 verse 17 and 18, between those that serve me and those that serve me not. The same way they pay will be different from the way you pay for things. It will be clear that God has made a massive distinction between you who is serving and those who are not serving. And that's why every one of you, please, I beg you, if any opportunity you have, serve with your heart. If you're not available, understand that if you're available, do it as unto the Lord. And that's where the grace comes in. And so tonight, I hope we have had something that struck a chord in your heart today. This will be a continuation of the series on these money management skills. A couple of material will be shared with us for us to follow up on this conversation we're having today. But my prayer, as you listen today, is that this will return to you for a testimony. I'm passionate and making sure that every one of you on the call tonight, you have made that time, not only just hear what you're hearing, but are imparted to go put it to work. And the result will be clear, not in 10 years, but in months. That by the time we run through this series in the next few months, it will be clear that you're on a journey to building what I call generational wealth. And that's God's desire for every one of us, and God's name shall be glorified. Where you are, everyone, because I believe in grace, I'd like you to put your hand on your chest and have the Lord to embrace you. That what of heart tonight will not be a waste, but something that will impact your life and will manifest your decision-making process from now on. Will be so guided that the result will show in a very short period of time, and God's name shall be glorified in Jesus.